To believe what had happened to her wouldn't always define her. If she were to lose her position here, would she find another job in retail? The mere thought of returning to domestic service. The hairs on her arms rose as she sat on the velvet-covered settee alongside Elizabeth. The moment the door closed behind Mrs. Chadwick, Elizabeth lifted the papers on her lap, her eyes shining as resplendently as her dark red hair. How can she look so happy if she is about to sack me? Amelia swallowed. Am I to be dismissed, Miss Pennington? Sorry? You said you can spare me. I can only assume. Oh, my dear girl, I am so sorry. She squeezed Amelia's hand. Of course not. I apologize. I have clearly given you a fright, and that was not my intention at all. You must know how invaluable you've become to the department, to Pennington's. Well, And that is why Mr. Carter and I have come to the conclusion you can do more good for the store elsewhere. The excitement on her employer's face and the reference to her husband, Pennington's co-owner, completely contradicted Elizabeth's words. What on earth was happening? Elsewhere? I don't understand. Grinning, Elizabeth opened the envelope and held out its contents. Here. Read this and tell me what you think. Amelia slowly slipped the envelope from Elizabeth's fingers and dragged her gaze downwards. The words she read caused her heart to pick up speed. You want me to board the Titanic? She stared at her name imprinted in gold. Second-class cabin, departing 10th of April. But why? I couldn't possibly. It's time for Pennington's to challenge America. Elizabeth stood, her delight palpable as she opened her arms wide. We are the best in Bath, yes, but we are far from the best in the world. We need to know what the department stores in New York are doing. Compare their windows. Compare their staff and merchandise. She laughed. Compare everything. Amelia's heart pounded. You have a wonderful eye, a wonderful instinct that I trust implicitly. You are young, beautiful, full of passion and keen to learn. I have every confidence you will soak up all there is to see and be inspired. You will then return to us and set about putting Pennington's on the world map. This is your chance to travel, to shine. What do you say? Any words stuck like pieces of glass in Amelia's throat. She had no idea what Elizabeth saw when she looked at her, but Amelia barely recognized the woman her employer had described. Any beauty she might hold attracted unwanted attention. Her age went against her so much that she often wished herself older. As for passion, for her work, maybe, but everything else inside of her was in a constant state of detachment. She opened her mouth to say something, anything, when Elizabeth returned to the settee and picked up the teapot. Tea? Nausea coated Amelia's throat and she shook her head. I know you are the perfect person to do this, Elizabeth continued as she filled a cup for herself. You will have an adventure, I promise you. But to travel to America, alone, I couldn't possibly. Oh, you won't be alone. Mr. Weir will be accompanying you. Mr. Weir? Amelia's heart sank even lower. The head of the men's department was staid, strict, and if the man were to ever crack a smile, the rest of Pennington's would think him in the throes of some sort of spasm. But surely he would not want to accompany me. We work together reasonably well, but he and I are so very entirely different. Which is exactly why Joseph selected him. My husband and I rely on our employees' eyes, ears, and instincts as much as we do our own. Joseph believes this trip will open Mr. Weir's mind to the ways of the world as much as it will yours to possibility. Mr. Weir needs to be pulled into the new decade, and quickly. He has been dragging his feet for far too long. As for you, Elizabeth grinned, no pulling required. You will perfectly complement each other and ensure the success of this undertaking. Trust me. But just the thought of boarding such a ship, I don't think I can. Take a couple of days to think about it. Elizabeth put down her cup and stood, her gaze gentle. I don't want to bully you into this, Amelia. I want you to embrace it. You will have a marvellous